What's going on? Shane here from Learnerpreneur, and in today's video we're going to be talking about how to use the automation part of the MailerLite free email autoresponder. So when you go to MailerLite.com, this is the page that you're going to be greeted with. If you don't already have an account, definitely check out one of my other videos and I will talk to you about the approval process for MailerLite. However, once you get approved, you just go ahead and log in by pressing the login button and entering in your email and password, and then just clicking the green box for login. Now, automation, referred to as workflows within MailerLite, is sometimes referred to as email sequences or email automation. So for instance, if you're setting up an email marketing sequence, you can do that for free within MailerLite. So from the dashboard, you just click over to the right and you'll see the automation tab. Click on that and you can see that I already have a workflow already set up. However, you can, within the free edition, create a new workflow. So go ahead and click this orange button to create a new workflow. Now the first thing it's going to ask you is that what is the name of it and what is the trigger. Now, the name, of course, is just internal, just so you can distinguish one workflow from the other. The trigger is what sets off the workflow, and you can choose from a number of different triggers. So we'll call this, actually workflow 2 works fine for this example. And the workflow trigger that we can choose is we can choose when a subscriber joins a group, when a subscriber completes a form, when a subscriber clicks a link, an updated field, the anniversary of a date, or the exact match of a date. So you can pick specifically a date on a calendar when you want this to begin. For today's example, we're going to go ahead and use when a subscriber completes a form. And then you can just select one of your forms, which I have several forms here. And you can just pick one of those and it will enter them into your workflow. Now, if you do not have a form available, I will show you in just a minute how to create a brand new form. It is very simple. And then this one is a box that says reactivate the full workflow every time a subscriber completes the form. I'm going to leave this unchecked because I want my subscribers to complete the entire email sequence and not get any repetition. And just click save when you are done. So right there we have our trigger at the beginning of our workflow. It says when a subscriber completes a form, and the form is defined by the name that I gave it, 25 weeks of free internet marketing tools, for example. You can click on this plus to decide what happens after the trigger has been activated, has been triggered. You have 4 options. It says you can add an email, you can add a delay, you can add a condition, or you can add an action. So let's just take a look at these individually. If I wanted to add an email, you click email, and then we can design the email, but this email will be sent immediately after a subscriber completes a specific form. With this email, you can customize it by giving it a subject. So we'll just call it test for today's example. You can add emojis if you like. Who is it from? Just put your name. I put my name and then my website address, so it's shane@shanestevensmith.com. You're welcome to use Gmail. However, this information will appear on the email that you're sending to your subscribers. So I recommend keeping it professional, and obviously keep in mind who's going to be reading it. So it's better to have a professional sort of, either a website address is great, or maybe a YouTube channel type thing, but you need to identify who the email is coming from. And then the email content is next, so you can design an email. Just click on design. And there you go. It brings you to the email design page where you can create a new design. You can use their template gallery if you are upgraded. With the free plan, unfortunately, you cannot use their template gallery. And you can also look at your recent emails. Of course, if this is your first time building a workflow, you won't have any recent emails. However, in the future, you can just copy these emails and then edit them, so it's a whole lot easier than creating an email again from scratch. For today's example, we're going to go ahead and create a new one. Now they have a drag and drop editor, and it's really simple. You just simply drag and drop the blocks to where you want to create a fantastic email, a great newsletter. They do have a rich text editor in beta right now. I'm not too familiar with this. They have a legacy rich editor where you can keep this kind of plain for your different newsletter options, and you can also use the custom HTML editor, but unfortunately this is with the paid plan only. For today's example, and for what I know, we'll use the drag and drop editor. So just click on the orange button that says choose and wait for it to load up. Okay. After it loads up, this is something similar that you will be greeted with. It may not look exactly the same because I have used this account before. For instance, this logo. Now all of this is completely customizable. So if you want to pick a particular part and customize it, you just click on the section, for instance this logo, and it brings up to the right the content and the settings tab. So you can edit this image, you can choose different logos that you would like to use, or you can use no logo at all. I do recommend a logo. It gives you some templates here just to get you off to a running start. Very easy to use. However, for today's example, we're just going to go ahead and use what we have already. Now for the second part, you can also decide, you can trash this by the way by clicking the trash can. You can edit and you can add your own images. And you can of course upload new images there. If you click on the settings tab right here, you can align it and you can tell it how big you want it to be, design the background, and it asks you if you want to apply these settings to all visible logo blocks. But we're just going to go ahead and leave it as it is because it's fine. You can also change what the block type is, so you can go to list, card, or full width. You can customize the font. So for instance, we can use Arial. It'll change that all up. And this is within your header, excuse me. Every part you just click on where you want to go. So the top is the logo. Second right here will be your header. And you can customize this completely. So we can just write test, header. Even though it's a test, I should capitalize it. And then you can also enter in a URL that you would like it to go to if they click the header. So for instance, we can type in my website address. It occurs to me now that you could probably type in any link that you wanted there. So maybe a YouTube channel, a website address, even if you have a 2.0, a free WordPress or a free Wix site or something of that nature, you could certainly use that there. And you just save any changes that you want to make. The next part down is the subheading. You can click on that exactly the same way. Now you do have these different options right here. You can move this around by clicking this, and you can drag it up, drag it down, and you can even click these arrows to move up and move down accordingly. You can click this to edit it, which is a little pencil. You can click the little eyeball to see the dynamic content. You can duplicate this block by pressing the duplicate button, third one over from the right, and you can trash this section altogether. However, it seems to work. It's always a good idea to have a header. Subheading, you can customize exactly the same way as the first one. So you can just, write whatever you want. For today's example, we will just write subheading. Maybe we'll make it in bold. You can add some underscore just for fun. And you can also add a link to this. So you can click the link and you can insert a link, type in any URL that you think is relevant. I have had better luck opening links in new tab. However, I don't need a link there. And you just save after you're done. You can change the way it looks with the top padding. kind of adjust the space. You see how it increased there. You can change the bottom padding. You can change the design settings. So for instance, you can change the text by clicking right here. We are still on Arial because it's consistent with the text that we have chosen for our email settings. However, you can customize those to be different in each block. After you're done with your changes, you go ahead and just click Save. Now the next section down is, and this is a nice little template to follow for an email, by the way. They have an image here, so you can do all the same things. You can move the image, you can edit the image, you can check out the dynamic content of the image. So for instance, this will either be chosen with a target audience, you can specify recipients, or you can customize recipients. So that's really, really customizable, and that way you can talk accurately and specific to your subscribers. You can also, of course, edit the image by clicking here, or if you're happy with it, you can just keep it. You can also trash it altogether, and there it is, it's gone. If you want to keep that change, click Save, the green button down at the bottom here on the right, on the left-hand side of the right. Or if you decide you made a mistake, you can click Cancel, and it will undo all the changes that you have made. Here is the content of the email, so you can just write anything you want, exactly the same as you did in the heading and the subheading. You can add text color, you can increase or decrease the size, you can add a variable, which is interesting. You can add links to any particular section, you can create a list format, underscore, italic, bold, and so on and so forth. You can also go to HTML. And of course, you can align it either to the left, the center, the right, or however you see fit. There's also a justify. If you're happy, click Save. If you made a mistake and want to go back, just click Cancel and try it again. And that is really it. Now they also have the button section here. Now most emails have a strong call to action. I recommend. It's customizable in exactly the same way. Click the blue button. You can change everything about it. So you can change this text to read click here. You can choose which link it will bring you to when you click the button. And if you're happy, you can save. Now keep in mind, you can also go to the settings here. You can totally customize how this button looks by adjusting the padding, the bottom padding, and even the background. Background color, you can turn it off or on. It is a hex code given, so you can make it black, blue, or any specific hex code that you find that you like the color of. If you want to keep it, click Save. If not, click Cancel or the X. And then after that, it comes a survey block. Now this is kind of automatically generated. I never use a survey block. You can use them, however, if you decide not to use them, it's customizable in exactly the same way. You can trash it, you can check out the other content, you can edit it, you can move it up or down accordingly with either this by clicking with the 4 arrows there, or clicking the up down arrows there for moving it up 1 space at a time or down 1 space at a time. For today's example, we're just going to go ahead and remove it. And then this right here is going to be information that is found in your account information, and we'll go over that in another video. However, side note, when you're filling out your account information, I always leave the number of my street address out. That way, every subscriber who reads your email doesn't get your particular street address. You certainly don't want that. It will also guide you through how to create an unsubscribe link and any particular notes that you want to add. So I added this, if the link doesn't work for you, open in the browser, because early on I was having some issues. You can adjust how this looks by clicking either list, card, or full width. You can again change the font, lots of available fonts to use, and you can change the background, the pre-header, the content settings, which will include the menus, the block style, for instance, background and border. You can choose the color. You can choose whether it just borders around and whether it's on or off. You can choose your links, etc., etc. So that is the particulars of the email. Now there is an option to remove the MailerLite logo from down at the bottom. We will cover that in another video. When you're done editing, just go ahead and click top right, green button, done editing. So we have created our trigger, which of course is when our subscriber completes a form that we have designed. And we have our first email in the automation. Now you can do any number of things in the next step here by just exactly the same way as the first time. You click this little plus button down at the bottom. You can either add another email, which I don't recommend doing at this step because they will get them at the same time as the trigger. You can also add a delay, so let's go through that now. Click delay, and then it comes up with this information that says set delay. Now if you make a mistake and you don't actually want a delay, you can click this X right on the right hand side and that will remove the delay. And that works for the email as well. Here's the X. You can also in further emails duplicate an email and just edit the specifics. That way you don't have to create each email from scratch, especially if they follow a similar template. Go back and click the plus sign, click delay, and of course we're brought back to that same screen where it's asking us to define the delay. So we can ask it to wait 1 day, hours, minutes, weeks, months. We can even set a specific time of the day, a specific day of the week, specific day of the month, and specific day of the year. For today's example, let's just wait 1 day by clicking 1 in the box and then using days as our unit of measure and then clicking save down at the bottom. So now we have a 1 day delay. What happens after 1 day? Typically, we would create a new email at this time. So let's do that now. Let's duplicate our first email, and there you have it. Now it's exactly the same, so it's important to change what needs to be changed. So for today's example, we'll stick a 2 there. It's still from me at ShaneStevensmith.com. We won't edit it inside the email content, but definitely do that when you're doing this for real. It works exactly the same way as the first time. Now you can add Google Analytics a link to track where clicks are coming from in your campaign, basically. We'll go over that in a later video as I find out more. And you can choose which language. So we're going to go ahead and stick with English. When you're done, click Save. Now you might notice that our email is actually in the wrong place. You can see our delay right here, and you can see the email back to back. Easy fix. Once again, click the plus sign, add that delay in there. We'll just wait 1 day, just like before, click save down at the bottom. There you go. It's as simple as that. So, back at the top, there's our trigger. There is the first email they get immediately when completing the trigger. We wait 1 day, and then here is our second email. Now, you can add as many emails as you like for your workflow. There are other options. You can set a particular condition as your next step. So for instance, you can create up to 5 conditions, whether any or all need to be true for the condition to be met. So you can pick up to 5 and you can design specifics about which ones need to be true for the condition to apply. And it's real easy to do. Campaign activity, workflow activity, and so on and so forth. Now I haven't used this too much, but we can work on that a little bit later. Now you can also, if you want to scrap that, just click the X once again. And if you want to check out the actions, there's also certain actions which can be applied to a part of an email workflow. And you just design which action needs to apply when a subscriber reaches the next action step. So for instance, you can update a custom field, you can copy to group, remove from group, mark as unsubscribed, or move to another step. So when this may be important is if a subscriber becomes inactive or something like that, you can take them off your list and so forth. Full disclosure, I'm pretty new at email marketing. I only have 42 subscribers on my email list, so I have not unsubscribed anybody yet. We're just kind of seeing how it goes. And you just go through in exactly the same format. You can get rid of this exactly the same way. And you can keep on adding emails, and they will go through and be sent to your recipients and your subscribers exactly how you define. When you are done with your workflow, it is important to turn it on by going up to the top right hand corner and switching that little toggle right here to on. Now you won't be able to edit your workflow when it's on. If you want to edit your workflow, switch it off again, and then these little plus signs will show up, the duplicate button, the X button, and so on and so forth. Now don't worry if you get subscribers while your workflow is turned off. They have a method for capturing those leads, and you'll still be able to add them to your workflow. Now real quick before we finish this up, let's just go back to the automation list and talk to you about how to create that form. It is super easy because you're going to need that form as a trigger for your automation. You simply go over to Forms, top tab, it's third one in from the right, and you can create an embedded form or you can create a pop-up or a promotion. For today's example, I'm going to use an embedded because I haven't embedded them onto my website. But you can actually create landing pages and create your own websites within MailerLite, even with the free edition, and we'll go over that information in another video. For today's example, let's just go ahead and create an embedded form. Now, what's nice is all the functionality works exactly the same. So you look at this form that I had for a particular affiliate promotion I was doing. You can edit the form still. And once you reach the edit screen, it will show your form. And all of these blocks are customizable in exactly the same fashion that you used with the email. So you just click on the section that you want to customize. You click on the heading that you want to edit. You click on the text that you want to edit. You can design it as bold, italic, underscore, and so on and so forth. You can add links. You can increase or decrease the size. You can add text color. You can change the alignment. But that's just if you're reusing one of your old forms that you had before, which is totally fine. If you want to create a new form, all you have to do is click on Forms, and click on the top right hand corner the orange button that says Create Form. Now, like I said, there's different kinds of forms. For today's example, we're just going to create an embedded form. Give your form a name. We'll just call it Test for today's example. Save and continue. Then it's going to ask you to select subscriber groups. So what that means is when people fill out this form, what group are they going to go into? Now with the free plan, I believe that you only have one option or one group available to use. You can create several automations around that group, but I think that you're only available to have one group. So we're just going to go ahead and choose our subscriber group. And this screen will load up when you click New Form. And it's exactly the same drag and drop, customizable, exactly like your newsletter. It's super, exactly like the email. It's super easy to use. So you can just customize this heading. Maybe you want to say something like sign up now. And you can change the subheading, get great tutorials, if I can spell, and so on and so forth. It's all customizable. You can make it bold, You can make italic, so on and so forth. When you're done editing it, you can go ahead and click Save. Now with this right here, when you click on the outside box, it's going to give you this. So this is basically everything that the form is going to gather. So you can add an email. If you want to add a first name, it just shows you right there to add a field. You can add a last name, you can add a company, you can add a country, and so on and so forth. If you decide that you don't want a country, a company, or a last name, you just click on the little trash can right there. When you're done editing the details of that, just click Save. And you can also change the colors of everything. And you can click what the button, or change what the button says too when you click it. So you can say, click here. You can change the background. And you can change all this stuff right here. Let's go back. Here we go. Change the background. You can change the background color. So we can make it this cool red. If you like that, you can make it this cool purple. If you decide you made a mistake, just click the X. You can also use an image. So what I did on my last form is I used this image right here. So we'll just use this, click Select, and now it's in the background. Pretty sweet. If you don't want it, click the trash can. Save and continue. You can change the font on the button, the size, the background. You can change what it looks like when you hover over it. You can change the text, the input, the label, the description. You can also change the layout of the form. You can go to default, you can go to full width. You can increase or decrease the borders. You can change the border color, and so on and so forth. Or you can cancel it and exit out of it. You can also change the settings. So, for instance, you can add a privacy policy statement, you can add a confirmation checkbox, a segmentation field, marketing permissions, and so on and so forth. You can also add a custom success page, which is probably the feature that I use most. What this is instead of bringing your subscribers to a thank you for subscribing page, you can bring them to either your website, or you can bring them to a affiliate offer or your own offer. The choices are endless, but you can totally customize where they go after they enter the information on the form and click the button. When you're done editing everything, you can click Next, of course. You can also preview it, and you can go back if you made a mistake. You can also edit the success message exactly the same way. So if you are using a success message, you can say, thanks a bunch. I really appreciate you subscribing. It's all the same, drag and drop. When you're done, click Next. And there you have it. You have your form that you can use for your automation within MailerLite. I really hope that you took value from this tutorial. If you'd like to get more tutorials like this and like to learn how to make money online on a budget, then start now by clicking subscribe and hitting the bell so that you don't miss a thing. Thanks again for watching. Of course, I'm Shane from Learnerpreneur, and I hope you have a great rest of your day.